All right, so today we're going to walk through the top 8 LinkedIn ads mistakes that most B2B SaaS companies are making. These are a lot of mistakes that we see quite often when auditing LinkedIn ads accounts, taking over accounts from other agencies or in-house. And there's a full article on this that you can dive into and read. It's on our website, www.firstsparkdigital.com. You can find it on my LinkedIn as well, Mitchell Correa. You can first find the First Spark Digital page and navigate from there as well. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Mistake number 1, having a weak landing page. Now, the most important part of an ad isn't even the ad itself, right? It's the ad destination. Because once you get a click, you need to end up converting that person. And so if you can have an amazing ad that gets them to the landing page or a web page, if it doesn't convert, that's a big problem. The ad doesn't matter how good it is if it doesn't actually convert and there's not alignment from the ad into the landing page, right? So it really is a crucial part, right? I always think of the funnel backwards. I always think start at the landing page and sometimes even beyond that, like what are you doing even after someone converts into, say, a demo or a trial, right? What's that process like? And then working back up to the ad as the last point. So it's a helpful way to think about it instead of thinking ad first. It's like, well, where's the final destination? What's our conversion mechanism, right? All the stuff that happens after the ad. It's really important. So, weak landing page. So, a few principles that we use to kind of distinguish like a weak landing page. Um, Number one, it passes the grunt test. So the grunt test, like caveman grunt, right? Basically, so easy that a caveman can understand it. So grunt test, and I got this from the terminology from StoryBrand. By the way, building the StoryBrand, they're the one that at least I don't know if they created it, but they're the ones that I stole it from for grunt test. Um, Basically, with the grunt test, you're answering the questions within a few seconds, within 5 seconds. You should be able to answer what is it, why do I need it, how do I get it, right? So right in that hero section, it's just clarity first and foremost. What is the actual product, right? Why do I need it? Should say some sort of benefit right off the bat. How do I get it? It should be clear. Call to action, right? Sign up, purchase here, click this link, whatever. Number 2, compelling hero section. So that all actually falls in that hero section, really, right? So above the fold, usually the first part that you're going to see on mobile and on desktop, it's going to be the first part of the website you see. It's going to, really determines a lot of the success of the landing page, because if you can't hook and get people past that first part, or if you're confusing people in that first hero section of your landing page, then you're kind of dead in the water after that. Number 3, it focuses on the user and their needs, wants, desires, instead of focusing on the company and product. So this goes with kind of making the customer the hero of the story, right? Not focusing on necessarily what you do, um, and focusing on your product and your features. It's more of like focus on the outcome and the needs of the customer you're trying to attract. Number 4, it highlights user benefits over product features. So that plays into number 3 as well. So benefits over features, right? You've probably heard that before, but focus on the benefits and the outcomes you get, and not the features of your product. And hey, we have this, and we're this certified, and we have this tech. It's like, it's all great, but I'm trying to solve a problem. I have a problem that I need solved, right? How do you help me solve that problem? To be frank, most of the time people don't care how you do it. The features and everything are logical brain after the fact, right? Like that's what they use to validate their decision. Oh, it has these features and these integrations. This is when you start getting into the logical side of your brain of the decision making process. But you need to hook with, is this going to solve my problem, my pain point? Number 5, answers all the questions and refutes objections a prospect might have. So on the landing page, as you're, if someone's selling you something, or if you're reading through something, you have questions that come up, you have skepticisms, you have objections that are going to come up. So what a good landing page should do is it should almost read the mind of the user as it's going through and going like, I know you have this objection at this point, and here's how I'm going to address that. here's how I'm going to address this objection. So if you ever went through a good marketing funnel or good landing page, it's kind of like, you get these aha moments. It's like when it's done really well and they know the customer really well, they're hitting on all of those objections kind of like in perfect order, right? As they come up. And you're like, oh, yep, answer that question, answer that question. So this is understanding your user is a super important part, and that's why, right? You got to be able to answer all of those questions and objections that come up and be able to kind of refute them, right? And redirect and answer those and redirect into telling your story. You want to be able to lead, right? A clear call to action that they want the user to take. This goes with passing the grunt test as well, but also multiple CTAs down the line on the landing page. You have to have an ask, right? You have to say, hey, like, this is the action to take to achieve X result. Sounds simple, but surprisingly, many get it wrong. Page load speed, optimize design, and design that's technical oriented aspect of the page. So that's with, kind of the technical best practices side. Like there's pages that don't look great that convert really well because they nail the first 6 points. But it still is important in digital marketing to have a good page, a good UX. I judge businesses a lot based off their website and landing pages as well. So you don't want it cluttered. You do want to follow good design principles. You do want to have it load quickly so people don't bounce. You do want to have it easy to navigate. These are some examples here you can find in the full article, but I won't go too deep into those for now. I can bring up one, but get visibility into malicious user activity. This is from a software that for fraud prevention. So there's a lot. It's a good example because there's a lot of technicalities and there's a lot of features, right? If a developer, if a security like analyst was going to analyze or was going to write this landing page copy, they'd probably focus on all of like the technical aspects and everything. But really, for someone that wants to prevent fraud, using AI in an automated way, it's like a visibility into malicious activity. I want to be able to see when someone's trying to commit fraud, right? Look at high level trends and spot patterns. And so they break it down here, high level, and then you get into kind of the how we do that, high level analytics. Investigate security and fraud incidents, review activity in streams, and it's like a feature. So it's like, here's the outcome, here's like how we do it, right? Here's the outcome, here's how you can do it, right? What's another one here? This is Trainual. So we actually use Trainual as well. So the easiest way to train and grow your team, right? Speaks directly to a pain point. It's hard to train teams. It's hard to grow teams. It's just a lot of pain involved, right? So it says right off the bat, what is it? This is what it does. This is what I'm going to get from this. Trainual is the #1 rated employee training software for growing businesses by user satisfaction, usability, and value, according to G2. So they do a, the H1 here captures the kind of like, what is it and why do I need it right off the bat, right? It's a way to train and grow my team, and that's also why I need it, right? And then they add some proof here too, of just like, #1 rated, and it's also kind of like it also plays into, it also is describing kind of like, why do I need it here? It's like, well, it's for growing businesses, usability and value, right? Kind of plays into like why you need it. And then really clear call to action. Try for 7 days, start free, no credit card required. Right? Super simple action to take. So like I could potentially, without even moving any further, I'm like, okay, let me see what this is about. I could click this link. And then it goes down, social proof, of course. You got your ratings here, Trustpilot G2, how does it work, and it goes down. So that's landing page. I could go deep. I'll do another video on just landing page breakdown for everybody. Mistake number 2, we're going to coast right through these. Poor audience targeting. So, LinkedIn has a lot of good options for native targeting, which are really helpful. But it's really easy to get wrong as well. And so one of the first things, the most important things to do is like really build a customer persona, right? You really do your customer research right off the bat and go through pain point messaging exercise. I have another video that we posted about our pain point messaging exercise. Go check that one out. I'll link it in this video as well, so you guys can look through that. But it's how we start off every ad campaign. It's how we start off anything, because it's the fundamentals. Because so many people just jump into advertising without getting the fundamentals right, which is knowing the customer, knowing their pain points specifically, and how to speak to them, right? So get specific with who you're targeting, build a customer persona. Don't use audience expansion. This is a little feature on LinkedIn that lets you reach people based off their algorithm outside your target audience. Just don't use it. It's mostly wasted spend. LinkedIn CPMs and costs are already high enough as it is. You don't need to make them higher and reach a less relevant audience. Keep it tight. Exclude entry-level and unpaid positions and any job seniority that doesn't fit your ICP. So this is a big one. We see it all the time. It's one of those tricky ones that honestly, LinkedIn should have some sort of default to exclude these, because almost nobody wants to target entry-level and unpaid positions on LinkedIn, right? But if you don't exclude them, then you'll see when you look at your kind of audience breakdown, you can see hitting these people, and it's just, again, wasted ad dollars. Don't do it. You can see a screenshot here, kind of what that looks like and how extensive our exclusions can get, right? So we're doing exclude people who have any of these things. So we're excluding people that have entry level, training, unpaid, or job titles that fall into these job titles, or companies like this company, or job functions. Trying to get super targeted. This way, when we're doing it with LinkedIn, it's a lot of it's demand generation strategy. So it's like, you just want to be in front of the right prospect. It's really important. It's almost like a boosted organic. You can kind of look at it the same as organic social. And so just having confidence in who you're targeting lets you know that, like, all right, if we're making good content, we know that it's getting in front of our ICP. But people don't need to obsess over, like, are we getting certain lead gen actions, right, or certain downloads or demos. We know that we're getting in front of our ICP with good ads that are building awareness. Number 4, layer and refine your targeting. So this, again, goes into kind of goes along with exclusions, but really just using the and matching parameters. So people that have this job title and are at this company and have this seniority, et cetera, et cetera. So start to layer, start to build in and with the and statement here, and don't be scared to kind of niche down on your audience. Use tools like ZoomInfo, Clearbit. There's Apollo. There's a lot of those out there right now. They're getting cheaper and cheaper. There's downsides with that too. They're not always perfect. Intent data for some of these platforms, is kind of like not great. But at the same time, you can build company lists. You can get a good target list and know that the people you're targeting are pretty good. And you can do your own refinement within these lists. So once you build a list on something like ZoomInfo or Apollo, go down and do the manual work to kind of like try to sift through it or pay someone to do it, and go through and look and see, like, all right, is this pretty on point with my target companies and the target people that I want to get in front of? These tools can be very useful and valuable to use in a lot. Mistake number 3, messaging that doesn't match your ICP. This goes back to building out a customer persona. You got to do that first. And then you got to do the messaging framework exercise, right? So you do those 3 things first, and then you get to actually making that messaging and building that out. So understand the customer pain points, speak to them directly, demonstrate how your product is the solution to their problems and pain points. Focus on benefits over features. Speak to the benefits first to appeal emotionally. Save the features for the logical part of the brain, like I talked about earlier, when they are digging deeper into your product and already have buy-in on their benefits. Don't try to be everything to everyone. Focus your messaging. It's really important. When you're everything to everyone, you're nothing to everybody, right? Something like that. Test the top benefit and pain point messaging to make sure you cover all of the benefits, right? To make sure you cover all of them. So test them. When we speak with sales teams, marketing teams, customers. and we get data back. And then from what we learn, then we start testing those. And we start testing those in ad messaging and on landing pages. And we look and we say, okay, like what is the benefit and the pain point messaging that resonates the most, right? And continue to test. So make sure your message matches your ideal customer persona. Mistake number 4, not investing in quality top of funnel traffic. So, a lot of the action for ads and a lot of the results come from remarketing. But if you need to feed that remarketing bucket, you need to get top of funnel traffic that is quality. So when you're prospecting. So, um, and it's really important for maintaining the scalability of your ads, because you got to keep feeding it, right? So for the top of funnel prospecting ads, I focus on the following. So serving content with messaging that matches a cold audience of my SCP, right? So matching the messaging and being specific. Again, this is why even if you're targeting people that's a little more broad, if you focus in on your messaging, you're going to be like a beacon that attracts your ideal customer, right? Your beacon is going to attract the type of person that you want. Um, have a variety of ad formats and content that appeal to multiple value propositions, benefits, pain points, different selling windows, right? So, for LinkedIn, you got text ads, you got follower ads, you got sponsored, single image ads, you got carousels. Tell your story in a variety of different ways, right? There's a lot of benefits to using um, all those different ad inventory. We have some posts on that on my LinkedIn. We'll do another video on that as well, diving into each individual ad placement. And actually, I get into it later in this article, number 8, that we run down. So we'll get to that shortly. Mistake number 5, not having an optimized email nurture sequence and follow-up sales process. So, you could get ads that are performing well, landing pages that are performing well. Maybe you're booking demos with good prospects, but if you don't have a way to nurture them or a good handoff process to sales, then these things aren't going to really work out that well. So again, this goes down to working backwards up the funnel, right? Starting with like the sales process to the website, landing page, all the way to ad is the last thing, right? You want to make sure you have the foundation set first. Really important. So we see a lot of companies make that mistake of spending all these thousands of dollars to generate contacts, but then not being able to follow up with them, not being able to nurture them, and it just ends up being, it's a leaky bucket, as we say. You're bringing water in and it's dripping right out the end. So understand your customer journey and the time it takes for prospects to convert. That's really important to you. If you have a long sales cycle, then the journey is going to be different. Give value and educate above all else. Provide a different call to action that makes sense and is appropriate for how a user is engaged, right? So you don't always go straight in for the first kiss or ask them to marry you. Sometimes you gotta work up to that. Maybe it's asking out to dinner, right? So don't cold call someone that downloaded an ebook. Don't do it. It's borderline harassment. Use SDRs wisely when they're most needed. So that's the point I just made. Don't call a prospect after they download an ebook. Best practice, words of wisdom. Mistake number 6, have a strict lead generation mindset. Having a strict lead generation mindset instead of lead generation mindset. Now, there's a lot of debate on this, and there's benefits of doing lead generation strategies for sure, and also demand generation, which I think demand generation is just like marketing. It's just good marketing, right? Creating demand, creating a good ad and a good message that makes someone want your product, right? That's what generating demand is. So if you're only focusing on lead gen and you're not thinking about the broader picture of how really good content works in your funnel but isn't always trackable, then you're missing out on a lot. You're not going to see these metrics always in attribution software. You won't always see it play out in HubSpot of like, here's a contact that converted to this. But if you're only doing lead gen of just like how many contacts, how many MQLs, how many demos can you get in the door, you're just leaving. At the end of the day, you're getting you're bringing in a lot of leads that are going to have a very low close rate, a very low MQL to opportunity rate, etc. And so do the real marketing to actually create demand, right, and actually get people on to buy. And that comes down to good content. When you have good targeting and you know your customer, then to create good content that's going to speak to that. So don't get caught up in a strict lead generation mindset. There's room to do both, but you really gotta, it's nuanced, and every business is different. There's a lot of factors that go into it. To start executing on demand gen strategy, do the following. So categorize all your existing content, ebooks, blogs, videos, webinars, podcasts, etc. Match them to your ICP at different stages, right? Find out which content matches the customer at whatever stage they're in. Identify content gaps where you want to produce that more content if you don't have it yet, right? Put a plan into motion to produce that content. Set up your content and ads and landing pages to serve to your audiences at different stages. Some of this content may be sent in email or other own channels as well. Measure the right metrics, key accounts engaged, organic search lift, direct traffic lift are often good indicators, video watch time, qualified pipeline lift, all these things, LinkedIn messages, all these things are indicators outside of getting leads that indicate that like, hey, your marketing is working, right? If you put in self-attribution forms, a lot of times you'll find like, oh, this person says this lead says it came from direct traffic or it came from paid search, but actually they said they heard about us from a podcast or from a friend at work who saw an ad or saw a post, right? So that's where the attribution picture gets messy, and it's good. It's good to have that data. It's good to understand that that's what's happening, or else you get caught up in the lead gen mindset where you're just like, whatever we can track, that's all we want to get, and then you're just leaving money on the table, and your marketing, honestly, your paid ads aren't going to work that well. Mistake number 7, having a weak value proposition. So no amount of marketing can fix a bad product, but if you have a great product and your LinkedIn ads and other marketing is still falling flat, it's likely just a problem of not communicating your value proposition effectively. So B2B marketing, I like to compare, I've done a lot of B2C, D2C, and B2B as well. But it's just as emotional. We're emotional creatures. It's just as emotional as like a B2C purchase, right? Marketing is overall simply communicating to other human beings at the end of the day, right? So as your job as a marketer is to create and capture that demand by closing the gap from point A, where your product or spec is now, to point B, where they desire to be. So you got to be able to tell that story. Your product really isn't important to them, right? The outcome is their final destination is, right? So if you can paint that picture of how you take them from point A to point B, that's what's going to sell, right? That's good marketing. So to help find your core value proposition to use for LinkedIn ads, do the following here, right? Listen to your target ICP, right? He's finding a theme here. It's understanding the customer first and foremost, listening. Find out the top problem and desire they have, right? This can be existing customers. You can do research, collect surveys, hang out in forums, anything that really allows you to get to know them intimately. Identify the benefits of your product and what makes them valuable. So look at your product, look at the features, look at what it does, and then really start to outline the benefits and the outcomes, right? Number 3 here, connect the value of your product benefits to the ICP's desire or problem. So start to brainstorm, collaborate, refine, and get feedback as much as possible and figure out, okay, how do these things connect, right? How do these things connect? And then differentiate yourself in a clear and easy way to understand. How are we different, and how are we different from competitors or other solutions, right? So figuring out that the messaging that works, that really connects those two. And then you create ad content that demonstrates your expertise and adds value, and that can be that's a creative endeavor. You can do all sorts of different types of videos and content and blogs and all sorts of stuff to represent in the form of an ad, right? And then test different angles and messaging with your ads. So, look at metrics like watch time, comments, clicks, engagements, other signals that you're getting your value proposition right. So look at all those things. Look at your click-through rate. Look at how your messaging to audience match is, and then iterate from there. I'm going to test this angle, or we know this is a pain point, but maybe we're not messaging it correctly. Let me do it, position it this way or this way or this way. Mistake number 8, not utilizing the variety of LinkedIn ad formats. What I was talking about earlier. So, dig in and use all of them. But LinkedIn likes variety, and you just don't know what's kind of going to resonate. Video is great to use at any stage of the funnel. It's great for top of funnel because it helps you can retarget by view percentage. So it helps you build up your marketing audiences. It's just a very engaging and easy way to explain, right, what you need to explain. Um, don't get carried away in an ad and make it too long. It needs to have a hook. It needs to kind of educate. It needs to agitate pain points, or it needs to get across your outcomes and your value propositions. Um, and then you need to have a clear call to action at the end of the day. With demand generation strategies, depending on your goal, you don't always need to have like a hard call to action. And sometimes it can be softer, like watching a video or check out this resource. It doesn't have to be gated. You don't have to get an email contact with every ad you're running. Ungate things and just kind of educate and let people enjoy and watch videos and feeds. Single image ads and carousels, you'll see a lot of these. This is probably what most of you are using already. Conversation ads can be really effective. They allow you to gauge prospects right inside their inbox. One of the cool features about this ad format is that we get to own their inbox for 30 days over our competitors, right, that we're bidding in auctions. We get to like kind of own, if we win that space, then we get to own that for 30 days. We typically use those for remarketing, kind of middle funnel, because not everyone's always ready to chat right away. It's more for like deeper in the funnel when they've already engaged. Message ads are very similar. You can send a message to someone's LinkedIn inbox without the full conversation aspect. But it's a great way to get your message in front of like warm prospects who are already familiar with you, and you're giving them a single, very clear call to action. Lead gen forms, these are really useful because they decrease friction from having to send them to a landing page. So oftentimes, if there is a downloadable that you're running or some sort of easy offer, you just autofill lead form, and so these can be really effective and have really high conversion rates depending on what you're using it for. Document ads, somewhat of a newer format for LinkedIn, but they allow users to download documents right within LinkedIn. Super helpful instead of sending them to a landing page. Follower ads, text ads, and spotlight ads are another kind of newer ad format. Those are all great because they're going to get you really, really cheap or free impressions, and you're typically only going to pay per click, right? So you can run a lot of follower ads and text light ads, and spotlight ads are ones that I didn't include here at the time of writing. I don't think it even existed yet, but those are 3 that like you should just always have on your account because they're going to cost almost really nothing to run. So utilize all of these ad formats. Don't make these mistakes. There's a ton of other ones, but I hope this was helpful. I'll include a link to our other videos around the messaging framework that we use before starting any engagement and how we do some of our customer research. But that's it for today. I hope that your LinkedIn campaigns kick off really well. Let me know in the comments if there's anything else you want me to expand on within this video or this article. Happy to add it. Thank you. Until next time.